research shows that narcissistic traits are deeply rooted patterns of identity, emotional regulation, and interpersonal behavior. Not because people cannot improve at all, but because personality structures are far more complex than simply I want to change. Hi, I'm Kamala Hess, systemic therapist and founder of the Rebel Moms community. Every day I help women escape their emotional prisons by teaching them how to balance motherhood, feminine power, and relationship. And if that sounds something like you need, go ahead, hit the subscribe button and turn on the bell so you don't miss more content on emotional intelligence. I need to tell you something many women desperate avoid hearing. You cannot love someone into emotional accountability. And one of the biggest traps women fall into in narcissistic relationship is the belief that if they want to understand enough, support enough, forgive enough, or wait long enough, the person will finally change. But narcissistic dynamics are not simply bad habits, they are relational patterns built around control, entitlement, emotional avoidance, and the inability to tolerate vulnerability without protecting the ego. And this is why so many women become emotionally exhausted trying to save the relationship, because while they are trying to create this connection, the other person is simply trying to protect their identity. And narcissistic personalities often operate from a deep, fragile internal structure hidden underneath the superiority. They need admiration, control, and validation. When anything threatens their self image, accountability becomes almost impossible. So, what happens? Blame, deflection, manipulation. And you bring up the pain, somehow it becomes your fault. And you ask, suddenly you're too emotional. You try explaining your experience, and they will write the story entirely. And over time, you start carrying guilt that actually never belonged to you. Many women become obsessed with researching narcissism because they are trying to find hope, a hidden explanation, a secret strategy, a way to finally make relationship feel safe. But healing does not begin when narcissist changes. Healing begins when you stop abandoning yourself while waiting for them. And this is the most painful part, because many women are not addicted to the abuse itself, they are addicted to the potential, to the version of the person they met in the beginning, the version that felt attentive, connected, emotionally safe. But narcissist relationships is only idealization, the version that attentive, connected, emotionally present. But narcissistic relationships often begin with idealization, and once the attachment is established, the dynamic changes. Not because you failed, but because the relationship was built around emotional dependence, not mutual intimacy. And this is why living feels so difficult. You are not only grieving in the relationship, you are grieving the fantasy that one day things would finally become what you hope for. And here's where the changes everything. You're not responsible for fixing someone who refuses self awareness. You're not responsible for carrying the emotional labor of two people. And you're not awake to struggling to let it go. But at some point, survival requires clarity. No research, no waiting, no self sacrifice. Clarity. Because love without accountability becomes emotional destruction. And the moment you stop asking, how do I heal him, and start asking, why I have been tolerating emotional starvation, everything shifts. You cannot heal a narcissist, but you can heal the part of you that believed suffering was a price for connection. And this is where freedom begins. If you're already following me, congratulations, you're growing your emotional intelligence every single day. And if you're not, you might never see me again, so follow now and make emotional maturity a lifestyle. Comment below, emotional intelligence is my rebellion, and send this to a woman who is exhausted from trying to save someone who refuses to change.